Thanks to a grant from Stafford County Economic Development, 5 vegetable growers in the county were given the incredible opportunity to learn how to grow produce in an outdoor greenhouse called a high tunnel. High tunnels are less expensive to build and maintain than greenhouses, but still use passive solar heat that can extend the growing season for produce to nearly 10 months a year in this region.
This is something that has been on a to-do list for years. Okay, it's always been there, but we've never done anything with it.
I mean, Amber and I had always talked about trying to do some kind of greenhouse, but we had never taken this step, and this made us make that jump.
Participants in the grant-funded program were given high tunnel kits, which they constructed themselves, as well as access to help from Dr. Carrie Rivard, State Specialist for Specialty Crops from the Kansas State Research and Extension Office, and experienced grower Randy Clark from Wichita, who helped teach the participants the basics of high tunnel construction and growing, as well as provided some market information to help the growers sell their produce.
Yeah, Randy's, anytime we've had a question, Randy's been there, and I talked to Carrie Rivard a couple of times, and then...
Before we ever got going, Jill called him, like she asked him how close to put the plants together, and Barry, she had his number. We contacted him several times.
But a lot of times we did things over the phone or on email. They'd email me and ask a question, and I'd email them back.
When we were just starting and we were trying to get started to market, just being able to call or email Randy and say, what do you price things? Because we have no idea really where to start. Randy gave us what kind of people were paying, selling things down in Wichita, and that kind of gave us an idea. And we were comparing it to the store, and actually that's about where they were at most of the time.
It's just kind of a learning experience. Plant spacing, kind of trellis we needed to put up just to hold things up.
It was a big learning curve this year. I mean, I've been gardening for years, and even though we had a large garden and it took a lot of time, just, I don't know, coming and starting to garden here as well was, for one, was just getting it set up, but also not knowing what to grow or how to grow, or trying to get it so you can use your space and get your maximum amount of vegetables or produce out of that area.
Gardening by dollars per square foot is different from gardening just to supply your house with food. It's a different thought process.
I mean, it gave me a perspective on, what varieties are going to work well, and how you've got to have good varieties that are going to produce a lot, or it's not going to be worth it.
Through this grant-funded high tunnel project, 5 vegetable-growing businesses were either expanded or created. The High Tunnel project not only gave local growers a chance to develop greenhouse growing skills, but also helped develop marketing skills.
And I think this was the thing that encouraged us to start selling it.
For a while, we were selling some stuff at Paul's grocery store, and then Heather was selling some stuff. They had a few people get together on Friday mornings here in Stafford, and she was selling stuff there. And she sold a little bit of stuff down at Pratt, and then the school's back now, and so now she's starting to sell some stuff to the school.
So I sell out all my green beans, all my okra, all my squash goes.
I had several restaurants asking me for tomatoes when they saw what I had, and I didn't have enough supply for my demand. I mean, I had people from Lyons even call and say, do you have 50 pounds of tomatoes I can get tomorrow? No, I don't.
We sold a couple of ways. The big ones that we did was the Thursday evening farmers market in Great Bend, and also the Thursday one in St. John. And then we sold a little bit to Mom's Bar and Grill.
This is great news for Stafford County, because when local growers sell their produce to area customers, more of Stafford County's money stays local. Overall, the participants found growing vegetables in the high tunnels to be a unique and impressive experience.
The high tunnel system is a totally, to me it's revolutionary. It's not really revolutionary because it's kind of an old, if you do the research, it's really actually an old technology. But to me it's a whole new way of gardening.
And it was really funny because I planted some of the same varieties outside that I planted inside. And, they were so much better inside. They just tolerated everything so much better.
Compared to being out in the elements, big difference.
Just your production is more perfect, shaped, looking, way more productivity out of the same square footage.
We just have never had experience with the way the growth has occurred on these plants, especially the peppers and tomatoes.
At one point, I mean, the foliage in here, it was unbelievable. There was not a dead leaf on there. It was green from top to clear up to the ceiling. It was pretty proud of myself, actually.
In fact, all of the participants plan on continuing to grow in the high tunnels, and several are even talking about buying a few more on their own.
We're going to keep going, I think, for at least 3 years, I think, to see how profitable it'll really be. I found some plans for some small greenhouses, high tunnel ideas. I'm going to build some of those so that we can move them, and they're actually relatively cheap. And so entirely the end of our second year and third and fourth year should all be profit entirely.
It's going to be something that we're not just going to sit back and watch it go to waste. We're going to use it. It's pretty nice.
Considering the delayed start due to a late cold snap this spring, and the fact that this was the growers' first year in the high tunnels, the growers did remarkably well and grew a wide variety of produce, including celery, lettuce, carrots, turnips, beets, and herbs, as well as the more standard peppers, cucumbers, and tomatoes.
This year everybody got a late start. I think they'll do a lot better next summer because most people didn't get stuff in until mid to late May, and the advantage of these things is to get it in early. But I was amazed that most everybody could do a real good job growing things.
It's going to take a while to get going, like any business does, but I think it's more has to do with experience than it actually does with what it's capable of. Because as we learn more, as we get our production, like I said, our cucumbers, we got maybe a quarter of what they could actually produce. As we get better, we've already found markets for the cucumbers, but now as we get better with handling the pests and stuff, we'll meet that, and so we won't have the loss, hopefully, that we did this year, and our markets will get more established. So it'll grow definitely.
None of this would have been possible without the support of Stafford County Economic Development, which strives to be a catalyst for economic growth in the county.
I mean, just infeasible, like just getting the grant to be able to feasibly be able to put up a high tunnel. I mean, it was just one of those things that we probably wouldn't have been able to do it, starting off, unless it would have taken years to be able to save up for it and get it going. And so that kind of, to have this was, by the grant alone, got us going, and then, like you said, just getting us to push to go to market or to look out for the marketing areas where you can sell the produce.
It's something I have thought about doing, but never did. I would not have tried unless you guys would not have given us the support for it.
To learn more about Stafford County EcoDevo, visit www.staffordecodevo.com.